Welcome back, everybody.
Everybody watching, I'm gonna need you to visit www.freakkings.com. Check out all the merch. And before you do that, I'm gonna need you to check out PJDG YouTube and Instagram. And while you're doing that, you won't have to remember the name, cause you'll remember the face.
Well, wasn't that awkward? Welcome back, everybody. BJ here. DJ's experiencing some technical difficulties. Don't know what the issue is, but I suspect it has something to do with the internet. That's my that's my theory. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Uh, yeah, last night we had Saturday night's main event, which was actually a better show than I expected. It was a little bit better than, well, a lot better than the previous one. And we were live doing a play-by-play with that. So if you didn't catch that, I'm gonna run through that card real quick and explain what happened. So we had Fatal Influence winning the women's tag titles over Paige and Brie. Fatal Influence, Laney Reed and Fallon Henry. JC Jane was at ringside. This was it was about time. You know, these ladies really deserve this title, even though they've only been on the main roster a short time. Um, you know, what they've done so far has been great, and honestly, I was just really sick of seeing Paige and Brie Bella with it. Hopefully, this leads to you know, their eventual uh falling out, I guess, when Nikki returns, whenever that happens. But yeah, pretty good match. Nice, good way to start the show. Uh, we've got signs of life. You're not glitchy
What up?
yet. There he is.
What is going on, everybody? I hear we're talking some Saturday night's main event here.
That's right. Just running through last night.
Yo, don't blame Amadeus. That's a good man. He might be Indy's most hated, but he's always been a good man to me. I was enjoying some of the comments with us getting a late start here. I don't know if you did, but we
I
all must know
actually,
now.
I actually intentionally did not stock up on beer. I bought a six pack for the weekend and drank that last night, so that was all. And I'm drinking iced coffee.
But part of the reason of some of my technical difficulties is I am on location today. And I mean, this is where I'm at, the Pro Wrestling Star Academy currently. I am currently actually sitting in production because there was training going on, a special Sunday class. So, but we are here. Well, somebody has to. Jeez. Like, you just picked up a shovel one day, looked at the ground, was like, that's a perfect spot for Amadeus.
Yeah, his wife defends him plenty.
But yeah, man, I thought Saturday night's main event all the way up to the final segment was a solid show.
Yeah.
Um, Before we like get talking about it in detail, um, it was just one of those things where I was like, I feel like if you just swap that in the main event match, it feels much better. You're giving the fans a feel good moment in MSG where they just won a title for the first time in like 60 years or something like that. You know, who cares? It's the Knicks anyway. Go Sixers, as long as they don't sign LeBron James. Um, Otherwise, I was actually, because we were talking before the show, we also had Sam Reaper on with us during our watch along that you mentioned last night. And I had told you guys that I wouldn't be surprised if the title doesn't change hands, but I'm kind of willing into the universe for Fatal Influence to win those titles. And that Danger Ginger magic, it worked. And new women's tag team champions. I thought it was a really solid match to like the last 3 minutes of it. because
mean, it
it
was only
seemed
a
like
7
it
minute
got,
match.
yeah. So hey, that's like 70% of the match. There was actually pretty solid on all ends, but it was a lot of fun. You
Yeah,
know, um,
great way to set the tone for
hold on,
the night.
let me get my notes here from it. Um, yeah, a lot of fun appearances. Just real quick, I thought Danhausen JD was exactly what I thought it was going to be if you did watch the stream. Lyra and Bailey, I was a bit surprised by, but that was a very solid match. And
Yeah,
interesting enough, 3 out of the 4 matches we saw all had somebody get busted open
yeah, yeah,
somehow,
yeah, yeah. And it
whether it
didn't
was
really
the
seem like
bloody
it was
lip
intentional.
or Lyra. No, not like that forearm to Lyra on the apron. Like you make mention of it. I have to go back and watch it again to see if there was
Well, she was
something or
already
it was
bleeding by
just
that
like,
point.
eh, but it didn't. She wasn't leaking. After she takes that forearm, it's like her nose just exploded because you see all the puddles of blood. And then how quickly they cleaned that up as well. Like we
Yeah,
got to the end of the match, there was no blood on those mats on the outside.
there was a ginger Minihausen,
They all had like orange wigs on.
but he had broccoli hair.
They all did. But yeah, I thought it was a solid show, one of the more entertaining Saturday night main events, but just that last segment with Roman and Jalen Brunson and all that was just it felt out of place for the show.
Yeah,
Like you
it
held
felt
energy
like
the entire.
it should have been off air.
I'm not even saying it should have been this. It should have been the rest segment for the main event because that would have got that crowd pumped up even more after all that, and then go into the main event. So now you've set decent energy for what was an energetic main event with Punk and Rhodes taking on Gunther and Sammy. Like the crowd was behind that match the entire time. So if
Yeah.
you had just swapped those two, the energy would have been the same still. You would have still gotten the
Yeah,
same
everybody
stuff,
would
and
have
we
been
wouldn't.
asleep after Roman.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have been sitting there like, so this is how we're ending Saturday night's main event on a segment like it's
Yes,
Monday Night Raw.
super disappointing. That, like I said, that should have been off air. Put it on the socials, whatever. But like, it was a waste of time, honestly. And it was like,
Like I
way to
said,
ruin a great show, you know?
I mean, like I said, I had no issue with it being on air. It was just on air in the wrong spot. It's either you open up with the show with that. The only reason, I mean, it wasn't a very big segment. We're going to talk about the matches more than anything because those were the more entertaining things. But you set this whole thing up to be able to give Jalen Brunson a Knicks version of the world title in front of the fans and for them to switch and hold up trophies.
Not
Like
to mention, it
it
takes 10
just,
minutes for Roman to get to the ring to begin with.
I mean, whatever. That's just what that's even my because that's normal with his entrance. It's very slow paced. It's very much aura farming because that's what Roman does with the tribal chief gimmick. He aura farms. But just in the long run of things, you did that for Seth Rollins to come out and not be successful in taking him out, and Jalen Brunson just to step in between them. And as you elegantly pointed out last night, you know, he didn't see the Superman punch coming. Was Jalen Brunson blocking that much of Roman Reigns? He didn't see Roman running at him.
Yeah, there's no way he doesn't see Roman coming in that situation. Just, from the camera angle I saw.
No, but even then, like you're thinking talking about Seth in the corner, Roman down in the middle of the ring, and Jalen Brunson walking right in front of where Roman was laying. You're going to see him getting up. Because Roman's much bigger than Jalen Brunson. We see that last night.
Right.
And like I said, I get it. You're appealing to the fans in the stadium you're in or the arena. That's fine. I expect that. I've seen it so many times on wrestling shows. It's just like when you're in certain cities, you do certain things. And they were capitalizing on the whole Danhausen thing, that crossover with the Knicks during that finals run and all that stuff. So, hey, you're going to appeal to the crowd. That's fine. You're going to do it on TV. That's fine. But in this case, you only put it in that segment at the end because you had the MVP of the NBA Finals in the segment. You should have done it the segment before and then had the match as the main event. Because I think you leave much more wanting with Nick Aldis coming out and screwing over Gunther in that situation, and for them to go off the air like that than going off the air with Roman holding up the NBA trophy and Jalen Brunson holding up his title. And even at that point, I agree to a point that the back end of that, they could have done the whole pyro thing and then done that part off air, or as they were going off the air, we see them setting up for it. Like, it wasn't anything to the story. What needed to happen did happen. And it was, I don't chalk it up almost to the whole Danhausen debut at Elimination Chamber, but again, wrong spot. You're just putting these segments that we're over with the crowd, but just in the wrong spot. Outside that, Danhausen's wasn't exactly over in Chicago. I think that's where Elimination Chamber was, right? Or wherever it was, because everybody else expected Chris Jericho, who was still under contract, or some other type of debut. So because they didn't get what they wanted or expected, they weren't happy with it. If people would watch real YouTube wrestling shows like ours, who go by the facts of what we know, we're not just fantasy booking to be like, oh, it's Chris Jericho. No, he's still under contract. Even though we had those thoughts until, what was it, 2 weeks before it was revealed that he was still under contract after he did debut at the Rumble. Well, return at the Rumble. But
And
just one of
honestly,
the
no one else would have, like, no other human being would have made sense to literally be in a box for weeks.
I mean, unless you were doing a gimmick thing of a legend coming back, like, I could chalk up the Boogeyman being in there. I could chalk up Hornswoggle being in that box. All right, there's. Thank you. It was a lot of fun up until that final segment, which we're kind of talking about right now, more. But it was placed horribly. You had a really good show with 4 matches. You could have done that right before it got it done, because Raw, SmackDown, your TV, basic TV shows, yeah, they could end on promos and on promo segments. That's fine. But when you're doing a special like Saturday night's main event, right? You should be kind of treating it like a PLE, where a match has to main event that.
Yeah, it's not a house show,
Even to a point, I also feel like, how special would it have been? And if you were to swap a couple things. So Obafemi still gets his match with Brock Lesnar, right? But it happens on Saturday night's main event in Hell in a Cell. So he can still have his title match.
Yeah, but
at SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, that's like his event.
But no, I understand. I understand why they did that, because they were trying to get more heat on Seth Roman, but it didn't work at all. Interest got lost. And something I said to somebody here earlier, WWE is just extreme. And I don't know if it's because I've been watching for so long, but it's just very predictable. Like before the show, I said, oh, this is coming out and screwing Gunther. Otherwise, this has to become a fatal 4-way at SummerSlam. It would make
Right.
no other reason, no other
I'm
sense for it to go any other way.
I'm surprised they didn't go the route of it being a fatal four way at SummerSlam. They love those multi-person championship matches.
Well, I think that they learned from the previous year. Like one thing's doing a WrestleMania rematch. Like we got the Cena Cody rematch at SummerSlam last year, where Cody got the title back. You know, cool. That's fine. That makes sense because now you've told a 5-6 month story along the way of Cody fighting back to the title. And also, we got a lot of dream matches in the process of one more times or never happened before.
Right.
What do I think is next for Danhausen?
Hopefully retirement.
BJ doesn't like fun. Don't listen to him.
I like fun. I get his aesthetic. I just don't think it's entertaining.
I am highly entertained by it personally. I've been a Danhausen fan for a long time, just like I've been an Orange Cassidy fan for a long time before he went to AEW. You know,
Orange
it's just
Cassidy's
a
shtick is
difference,
great.
huh?
Orange Cassidy's shtick is great.
No, but I'm just saying they're funner, very much more gimmick than they are in ring. You know, because even Danhausen himself will say he's not the greatest wrestler in the world. I've heard him say it in interviews before. I think he says it in one with CVV. So, hey, I get it. So he's figured out something that works for him. And, majority of fans legitly dig it. And it's just something for me that's fun. And you see how, like, especially for Saturday night's main event, I really hate that they use it as an excuse to bring in Carl Anthony Towns to get another Knicks player on the show. But God, did he actually look good in what he did? Like both his choke slams were very solid choke slams. Like you could see he worked on it to be able just to do that one spot or two spots. And also being an athlete doesn't hurt because if you're an athlete and then you go into wrestling, it's much easier to transition.
And it's too, I mean, not saying JD and Dom are small guys by any means, but when you look at the rest of the roster, it's two smaller guys, so I'm sure that helped.
Oh yeah, I mean Dan House is not exactly the biggest guy.
Right, right.
Uh, but
That's
yeah,
unnecessarily true. I hope so.
people have been saying that statement right there for like 2 years now.
Yeah, just like the Judgment Day is going to break up tomorrow.
Yeah, they might. Who knows? I I think we're getting there with the Judgment Day, though. I really do. We're not far off from it. It's just a matter of now certain things have to fall into place. And part of that's Raquel and or Roxanne turning on Liv. And then Raquel just completely destroys Dom. And that can start in 2 weeks at SummerSlam if Liv drops that title. In her first title defense since WrestleMania.
It'd be so
Travesty.
funny if that happened, and then on Monday, Judgment Day have new members to replace Liv and Rick or Roxanne and Raquel.
I did not chance to watch it, but I feel like Cody's been teasing heel turns on and off for like the last 2 years now. Like once we were starting to kind of lead up into Roman and him part two after he won the Rumble for the second year in a row. I feel like then was kind of the turn. And then in the John Cena match last year at SummerSlam, him picking up that turnbuckle piece, giving us the flashback of what happened at WrestleMania with Cena cheating to win. I just feel like maybe that's really what's missing in Cody isn't necessarily the heel turn, is being able to have that moment, where he gets a bit more aggressive and that killer instinct. Yeah, I heard about
Yeah, I've
that
seen a
today
lot on
too.
social media today about that. A lot of wrestlers that we know taking their time to post a little pay respect there.
Condolences to the family. But yeah, man, it's been with Cody just a very interesting ride that they don't have him. I don't feel like he's towing the line of turning heel yet. More of he's just responding to what's going on around him, and he's trying to be QB1 still. And he
Well, I mean,
doesn't have that without the title.
the C's definitely have been planted though.
They've been playing for 2 years now. Just like the
Well,
Judgment Day
yeah,
was going to break up 4 years ago. Eh, like whatever at this point. It is what it is. But just remember as well, when Cena was on top on his big babyface run, how many times did we see him start using heel tactics in certain situations? And there's one example I will always bring up: him duct taping Batista's legs around a ring post so he could win a last man standing match because he knew he couldn't put Batista down for the 10.
see, I don't really see that as being heel. I just see that as doing whatever it takes to win the
But
match.
that's not a babyface beating their opponent and outright winning. That's them taking the easy way out, which is a heel thing to do. Heels take the easy way out. Baby faces go conquer that to win.
Again, I don't. I think it was doing what he had to do.
Oh no, no, no. I get the point. He did what he had to do, but it doesn't make it any less a cheap tactic that a baby face shouldn't do.
I don't think that like
I expect the heel to duct tape the champ's feet around the ring post and sitting there pointing, laughing while the referee has to count to 10 because he can't stand up.
yeah, I would just expect someone who wants the match to do that heel or face. It's within the rules. It's not
No,
cheating.
just because, no, like I said, it's because it's within the rules doesn't make it any less cheap in the terms of a baby face action and a heel action.
But again, I don't
Because
think that
those are
that makes him
very,
any less face.
in my opinion, it kind of does. Just like Bianca Belair using that hair in a match. That's a heel tactic. We've had this one discussion always leads to the other of two of my examples of okay, it's bent for it, but at the same time, yes, in the confines of the rules, it's legal. It doesn't mean a babyface should use that tactic to win. As to where it's more expected that the heel would use the cheap way out, to where you look at a babyface, they're supposed to conquer through that and come standing on top doing it the right way.
Uh,
That's literally the terms of pro wrestling babyface and heel 101 there.
yeah,
To
but
where there
again, in
are
both of your examples,
situations.
in both your examples, I don't see it making them any less of a face.
If a babyface has to use a cheap tactic, then
They
they
don't
didn't
have,
outright win and conquer that opponent.
yeah, but like I don't.
Um, hmm.
It's about winning the
That
match.
is a typical WWE move at this point to do that. Like I have no thoughts on it anymore. It's like WWE's trying to revive the Monday Night Wars in some fashion, and if they're going to make fans choose, you're just taking both shows are just going to lose in the end because not everybody's going to watch AEW anyway. So, oh, AAA's on. But most people have multiple devices now. Me, if there's two shows on at the same time, typically I have them both on at the same time. But that's me. I do think it's cool though that AAA and NXT are running New Madison Square Garden or just that area WrestleMania weekend. I think that's
Right.
really cool to have AAA appearing there. I actually really did put that over. Also, I did bring the comment up. Kevin Owens still hasn't returned from Cody since injuring his neck. That's if KO ever actually does return to the ring.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to think KO's going the way of Big E. Like might just kind of be done.
And KO still has plenty to contribute to the WWE in other ways.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And anyway, in all honesty, if KO returns on TV for a match, and I'm just saying, not that this is going to happen. Imagine if Sammy wins back the title at WrestleMania in Saudi. Kevin Owens comes out and they do the NXT angle where they hug, they're leaving together. WrestleMania goes off the air with KO doing doing the apron bomb to Sammy, and I'm just saying that's what I would love is a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens WWE title feud. That's the dream right there. But also, myself and BJ being guys from the Northeast got to see a lot of that of their stuff from early on.
Back in the Ring of Honor days.
Yeah. Um Here's a match that we could talk about because we were both kind of not surprised and surprised at the same time. Lyra and Bailey, like the actual match itself.
Yeah, this match was an absolute slugfest. But at times, I mean, there was some very technical wrestling going on. But the takeaway from this match was just Lyra busted open early and just it was just crazy. Just you would think, and I think it looked like for a minute that they were going to stop the match and kind of like check on her and everything, and she just kind of refused and and attacked it. That shows a lot from her. It shows a lot of heart. She did ultimately go on to win the match, and then beat the living stuffing out of Bailey.
Oh
Presumably,
man.
Bailey's going to be written off now. We're thinking maybe AEW bound or, be exploring other options. But from what I hear, she's been asked to take a pay cut, among others. Um, and by the look of it, I mean, that's how you write someone off right there, if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that last night. I think I was the one that brought it up. Was like feels like this is kind of being written off here.
Did
Uh,
not catch that.
see. No, I actually have to go back and watch the kickoff show, but we've been talking about this match happening for a couple weeks now since the last PLE Night of Champions where the altercation happened, and I suggested it at that point because it seemed different than anything else we've seen with altercations recently, and I'm honestly looking forward to it. I kind of hope it leads to a match down the line with Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce somehow. The battle of two former NWA champions
On a side note,
and
you
current
mentioned Pierce.
GMs.
I was just watching this YouTube video about the CZW versus Ring of Honor war from like 2005, 2006, and just seeing Postman Pierce being, or not Postman Pierce, but Adam Pierce being like one of the heroes of that was just really funny.
No, man, they are both great wrestlers, and Nick Aldis is especially
Oh yeah.
like his Impact slash TNA run was absolutely great.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever seen him do, I'm just impressed by. And if he's going to go in there with Gunther, we know we're going to get a match. And
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
not going to say it's going to be the greatest match at SummerSlam, but it's going to be entertaining. And let's be perfectly honest, last year at SummerSlam, like it wasn't the greatest match, but Pat McAfee looked good in that match. He didn't look buried. Gunther actually got a match out of him.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, sometimes some of these matches is the comparison of chemistry in the ring with each other. I think Gunther and Aldis are going to have great chemistry in that ring together because they had similar journeys
yeah.
in their indie days and stuff before being with WWE.
Well,
We
you are in luck,
Go ahead
Joe Hill.
because our next watch along will be 6 years from now. And it won't even be me and BJ. It'll be all new hosts who will be
It'll be our
forced to have the
children.
same initials. Yeah, my daughter's not doing this, so it would have to be my grandkid.
I don't have kids, so I have to get started on that.
But no, current tentative plan will be a SummerSlam night 1 and night 2 watch along as we've done the previous years. We tried to schedule, we try to do as many watch alongs as we can. There's sometimes conflicts of shows here at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy as well play into it, to where I specifically can't. If BJ wasn't to come to a show for some reason, he could find somebody to do it with. We just have our criteria of what we want doing it. Which, as you obviously see, if you watched any of our watch alongs, we don't just sit there staring at the screen. We are literally calling the action. And every time we do it, we get better than before. Because at one point, it was just me blabbering on for 12 minutes and somebody else getting in the occasional line. Now we're kind of going back and forth. We're actually
Also,
becoming a commentary team.
we figured out a way to make it work. Like whoever's behind takes the lead. Like I think that works out a lot better now.
That and plus, like if you need to stop and catch your breath, by the time you get to that point, I'm ahead and able to call the next. I'm right where you
Right.
were, and I can call the next spot.
Right. I think that
But
works
no,
out.
either way, we really do enjoy doing the watch alongs. They're a lot of fun. There's times where we get into debates mid match, and we also
Nice.
had Sam Reaper joining us last night, who wasn't even watching the show. He was just here to be here. I swear, I'm going to have to start promoting him as being part of the channel. Maybe have to give him his own show on this channel.
He's not part of the channel. This channel is haunted by Sam Reaper.
It's haunted. I absolutely love it. But yeah, Bayley and Lyra, back to the topic at hand. These ladies went out there. I'm really starting to be convinced that when we were seeing the split personality Bayley, that it was Lyra just hallucinating the entire thing in her head. Like it takes me back to the one where she's standing outside Bayley's locker room door and she's going to knock and she hears Bayley arguing with herself,
Right.
like Fight Club style, and then Bayley opens the door like, what are you doing here? Like, what if this all gets clued back and it was just Lyra going crazy the whole entire time, which is why the angle seems like it just got dropped and switched over, because it was never Bayley to begin with that was going crazy.
Makes sense.
Bayley was doing things to try to fire up Lyra, like the slap in the face at times or something, because we were seeing it in ring, but it was just sporadically spread out. And it was always something with Lyra that caused it to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Bayley doing it on her own.
Would be interesting if we see like a backstage segment or something where Lyra like mentions Bayley and they're like, "What are you talking about? She hasn't been here for like a year."
By the way, shout out to all the new chatters I see in the chat today. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, hello.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. But Jay from PR, Lyra was great last night. The question is, if last night's match was a write-off for Bayley, how do you feel about that? We kind of touched on this earlier. I'm happy to talk about it again. I can see it. I'm the one who brought it up during our watch along last night. that have kind of felt like that, but at the same time, in 2 weeks, I could see them having one more match still, if, as long as she's under contract still, and maybe a big SummerSlam. And that would be the telling point. If Bailey were to pick up that win, she's probably not leaving. Because for all we know,
Yeah.
she could still be negotiating. Joe Hale in the chat. I could see now. This could be another thing. Maybe Bailey goes to AAA. We've seen her appear there a couple weeks ago. Very big possibility. No
Or,
problem, man. No problem, man. We tend to circle back around the stuff a lot. It happens. But I was very happy with this match. Even though you could see the moments after Lyra had that hit with that forearm and her nose just exploded in blood, that the ref had to keep holding Bailey back from doing certain moves. So I think it was a great match. So those two worked really well together. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Lyra, which I haven't been able to say in a while, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, I really saw something from Lyra. Like, I was already like, not against Lyra, but like, I really saw a different side of her. Uh, it makes me think, yeah, like, what is next? Like, it feels like she should be moving up the ranks a little bit, taking on a little tougher competition, maybe.
I mean, we look at it at this point now. Lyra just scored a win over the first ever women's Grand Slam champion. I wouldn't mind her having an opportunity to be in that ladder match at SummerSlam, even though she's on Raw. If she's not going to have another one-on-one match at that point.
Right. Yeah, it does seem like a little too soon to stick her, to stick her with another feud.
Yeah, to where right now, let her do a couple little things and get there if the whole Bailey thing is done.
Right.
But yeah, those ladies, even given of how that match got slowed down, put on a great match. I think all the women last night worked good matches overall. Like I feel like Bree's actually getting better every week at what she's doing because she's doing less and it looks like more because she's being more impactful
Yeah.
in what she's doing. Paige just is Paige. We know how good. Hey, get out the shovel for Maxine. Because if
Yeah,
Maxine
right.
goes over on Lyra after she beats Bailey, that's horrible.
All right, Joe Hale, that's a possibility.
Yeah, but not the Beck. That would be interesting. Becky would have to be a baby face coming back to feud with Lyra at this point. To be perfectly
Yeah,
honest.
sometimes it's just a matter of who's in the ring when you come out. Hey, what's up, Tara?
I don't know. I tried.
Look,
I
if
don't know if
Lyra's
it
in the
played.
ring, it did. If Lyra's in the ring cutting a promo and Becky comes out, obviously the crowd is going to pop for Becky and she's going to be automatically babyface in that situation.
In the situation, yes. Overall, given which is something we go in depth about on and off is fan reactions and stuff. Fans react to heels the way they should react to baby faces. Trust me, I know he's a good guy. He's team hybrid.
Yeah.
You know, only the best get to be a part of team hybrid, which is why Pete's not a part of it.
Very good right there.
By the way, shout outs to hybrid.
What up, hybrid? Can't wait till the 31st.
I mean, Shout out to everybody, SPL, PWU, but especially Hype. But yeah, who's women's intercontinental champion right now? Sol Ruka. I wouldn't mind
Yeah,
a Sol Ruka Lyra feud.
sure.
I'm kind of for that at the moment. If they go back to that, they are wasting Becky and they are wasting Maxine managing. I think Maxine's done wrestling.
There,
I think
yeah,
I think she's done within ring for now.
I think that experiment's over.
Under the bus. How I can't throw him under the bus if I was the one driving it.
You're getting there, Tara. You're halfway there.
Tara, just admit it. You are team hybrid. Just admit it. It's okay. I don't even know if it played because I hear it and then it stops.
I heard it and it stopped, but I think it did play because that's how I usually hear everything.
Oh man. Technical difficulties galore, but we are still here and rocking out. I did get to watch some SmackDown this week, which we'll get to. But we still have um we kind of touched on Danhausen and JD. That was just what we thought it was going to be, a very fun match. Very much a Danhausen style match where every once in a while you see Danhausen break out a few things, but he is a case of where less is more, especially with how they have the full gimmick going. They have like the mad scientist thing going. Um, they had, like I said earlier, Carl Anthony Towns appear out of the big cloning machine after Danhausen put the black cat in there, which I don't get the reference between those two things, but okay, whatever. Hopefully that black cat cursed the Knicks so they don't win no more championships anytime soon. But yeah, that was fun. I like I said earlier, I thought Carl Anthony Towns looked good in what he did. Very simple. Another situation where less is more. But yeah, let's get to talking actually about the main event. CM Punk, our WWE Undisputed Champion, and Cody Rhodes taking on Gunther and Sami Zayn,
This
which
was
I thought was. Go ahead.
yeah, it was just an action-packed match. A lot going on in this one, down to the very end.
Yeah.
A lot of near falls. Sammy was just all over the place.
No, this match did exactly what it was supposed to do. Especially with this, as I had said before the match started, like we're probably going to see Nick Aldis come out and screw Gunther. Gunther had the match won. Nick Aldis in suit and all coming out from under the ring. Because you could kind of tell when the camera gets to that shot that you could tell he came out from under the ring because you see the ring apron had been moved. It wasn't perfectly down like it usually is. But whatever. You know, I enjoyed it. This is something I've been wanting to see since the Night of Champions altercation between
I just want to see Aldis in the ring again.
them.
I
Yeah,
guess he
even if
hadn't
it's just
wrestled
a one-off.
since he was NWA champion, I think.
Yeah, that's
So it's
what
got to be like 8 years.
something like that. Yeah,
I gotta
it's
look
been
that
a
up.
while now. The one thing I do, let's see. Oh no, yeah, we're talking tag team. No, I thought the tag team match was really good. It was just a lot of big spots and them killing time. It felt like. Like I said, if I was all four of those guys, I would be kind of upset I wasn't the main event of the show itself. Just
Okay,
just me.
2023 on Impact.
13 years was his last match on TV.
2023.
Oh, 2020. I thought you said 2013. So 3 years ago.
2023. August 2023. So it hasn't been that long. He lost to
We're
Eric
going
Young.
on 3 years.
Yeah. I know he was the NWA champion before that. I didn't realize he did anything after NWA.
Yeah, I kind of remember him having like a very short return to TNA or whatever, or Impact at the time. And then he signed with WWE shortly after.
Okay, yeah. Now that I met,
Because because Adam Pearce, because they did the brand split again. They were trying to actually separate the brands, and Adam Pearce was running both shows at that point.
yeah.
And then they brought in Nick Aldis to take SmackDown.
And if I remember correctly, it was like a very surprising appearance. Like I don't remember seeing anything on the internet about it.
I remember seeing stuff about maybe him signing, and that was rumored that was going to be his role, but nothing had been really confirmed.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't much out there about that.
But yeah, in all honesty, I would expect Gunther to beat him at SummerSlam, but all the wrestling style of all this will really play into this because Gunther doesn't really run into too many other wrestlers of that style, especially in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Remains
see.
to be seen now. What happens with I mean, with Sami Zayn, and yeah, no, he's not involved in anything right now going forward.
It, yeah, like what are they doing with Sami Zayn? Let's talk about it because I have no idea. Like they put the tie. It seemed like they put the tie on to make him a transitional champion just to get it on Punk.
Right. And to like be like, here, you worked hard for like 20 years. Here's your 10 minutes being a champion.
Yeah, the only person in the last 6 years to have a shorter reign than that was The Miz after he cashed in Otis's Money in the Bank contract, and Bobby Lashley beat him like 6 days later or 8 days later, something like that.
Oh, you're forgetting Drew McIntyre.
Not counting a Money in the Bank cash in an actual match. Like that person got to walk out of the show as champion.
Right, right.
You know, I'm always curious. Could you cash in Money in the Bank like the 24/7 title or like the hardcore title back in the day? You know, hey, I'm cashing this in for as a pinfalls count anywhere's match. Just have
Uh,
a referee there.
I mean, what are the rules?
You can cash. The rule is you can cash in anywhere, anytime.
I know, no, but I'm saying like that's more of a comment to like how wrestling just like breaks its own rules all the time. If it wants to do
Oh, you mean
something, it
like the
will.
30-day rule?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if something has to be done, they'll find a way around the rules.
So speaking of that stuff, this ladder match coming up at SummerSlam that Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton have already qualified for the interim women's WWE championship. Um, Number one, I hate that WWE is it doesn't acknowledge AEW but wants to steal one of their gimmicks with
What?
interim champions.
Well, that's just a thing. It's not
WWE, no, but
specifically a.
WWE's never done an interim championship. If a title has been had to be taken off somebody in WWE, that person forfeits the title or gets stripped of it, and then they crown a new champion. WWE's never done interim champions.
Cena and Punk. When Punk left with the belt.
No, Punk left with the belt, but then they crowned Cena as the WWE champion. So we ran into a situation where the original champion returned,
Yeah.
and then they unified the belts. It was never like in AEW when we've had up until Willow being the first occurrence I can think of where they just crowned a new champion. Hey, Joe Hale, that was kind of my thought too. Which I'll pop that up and we'll get to that in a moment. Um, where AEW did it so that when that original champion returned, you have a guaranteed match. I understand it, but but WWE doesn't acknowledge the competition, like they acknowledge every other company on this planet but AEW.
I don't see that as like a direct rip-off. Like interim is a thing that exists in the world. You know what I mean? AEW didn't create it.
No,
WWE
no, no.
isn't like a.
I'm not saying AEW created. I'm saying they were in my head, and if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. Because how much wrestling I've watched, things can slip through the cracks. But at least when it comes to mainstream wrestling, they were the first company I ever saw use the interim champion angle. Because we've had interim AEW champions, interim TNT champions in AEW. When was the last time? Like, so I get it's a thing, especially in combat sports. UFC and MMA do it. Boxing has done it at times. But just WWE's never gone that route because then you run into the idea of there being two champions simultaneously. And if Rhea hasn't been able to go for this long already, what has it been since Clash? The last time we saw Rhea defend that title? All right, she should just have been stripped of the title because she's unable to defend it at this point. If the injury had just happened and we're talking about her coming back a little bit after SummerSlam, okay, you know, then interim champion, so you have somebody defending that championship. But it's already been 2.5 months since we've seen her with this injury. We're going on probably 80 some days. Strip her of the title, crown a new champion, and then when Rhea returns, she's an uncrowned champion who gets an automatic title shot because she never lost that title. Instead of doing this whole thing where, because we know how this is going to go. The champion's going to get crowned. They're going to get a title defense or two, and all of a sudden Rhea Ripley returns, and that segment ends with both of them holding up the exact same championship belt.
I mean, maybe. I don't
But
really see them going that route with it. Like, I do think that, like, Rhea will come back and immediately go back after the belt. But yeah, I don't see a situation like that.
I mean, in this situation, the only thing she has to do, the only thing WWE is going to be forced, because once she comes back, and if they're going to still consider her reign legit, and that she is still the WWE Women's Champion, then with the second she returns, she has to have a match with that interim champion so that there's an undisputed WWE Women's Champion. And if that's what this whole angle is, the TKO needs to stay out of keep their hands out of the damn creative cookie jar. Because this is definitely has that TKO feel to it.
I see it as like
Given that
two ways to get to the same
UFC,
point.
it is no, it is two ways to get to the same point. But at the same time, it's like I'd rather have one champion and then the former champion just return and start that journey, whether it's an automatic match or she has to win a match to earn the title shot because she's been injured, whatever. Why do we need an interim champion? I've never been a huge fan of the interim champion in AEW. It's just in this case, it doesn't make sense. You could have started this process a month and a half ago. You could have used the Queen of the Ring in this situation and had the winner of Queen of the Ring become the WWE Women's Champion.
Yeah, but at that point, I don't think they knew how serious Rhea's injury was. At that point,
I
they
mean,
were
I
saying she'd
agree
be
with.
back for SummerSlam.
So I definitely think that she's going to be back sooner than later. She's just not ready for SummerSlam. So them doing the interim is to build an angle for something. And I just disagree with it because I feel like in the end they're only doing it because you have the men's undisputed WWE champion. So now we're going to have the undisputed women's champion, which the word undisputed makes no sense when there's a men's and a women's major title on the other show. So they're not the undisputed champion because there is another world champion that is across from them in both divisions. You can't say that with the mid card titles. We can't go the best we can get is the interstates champion or the United Continental champion. We can't get
Yeah,
the
I don't
Euro
ever see that
Continental
going.
champion. No, but I'll bring this comment back up. Something Joe Hale said in chat. So on SmackDown, Blake Monroe attacks Candice LeRae after she has a conversation with Gunther about him telling her to tell Sami Zayn to stay out of his way. And I had a funny thought afterwards. I was like, if I was WWE, maybe I would do the shocking thing and let Blake Monroe win put her in that ladder match and let her win it.
I mean, she held gold in AEW, right?
Yeah, she was former AEW Women's Champion. She also won the Owen.
So it wouldn't be that shocking.
I don't think we've seen. No, because Jade Cargill was never AEW Women's Champion. She was only TBS Champion. So no, Blake Monroe were to do that, she'd be the first woman to have been WWE Women's Champion and AEW Women's Champion. If that would be the case.
Well, Sasha.
Not yet.
Mercedes. Oh, that's right. Yeah. She hasn't won that.
Not yet. And even then, she was a Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. But no, it would in the universe it would count, just like in WWE. Oh, you don't have to hold every title to be a Grand Slam champion. Talk about being a mark for yourself to be able to market something. Literally, the term of a Grand Slam champion is to hold every championship.
Again,
Not just
what are the rules? They can break their own rules. It's wrestling.
Well, I'm just saying, when it comes to wrestling, the term Grand Slam doesn't only refer to pro wrestling, but sports in the general purpose. And in any sport, you have to hold every championship.
Yeah, it's not a set number. It's all.
I would say the only exception to that would be in something like boxing or MMA, where there's actual weight classes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight Grand Slam champion because I've held every major heavyweight title in the world.
Right.
You're not going to see a heavyweight go battle a welterweight or a featherweight. If that was the case, I would love to see the featherweight win. That would just be hilarious. But no, I'm definitely like I'm interested because it's a ladder match, but at the same time, is it? Oh, wait. Hopefully this plays. If not, I will be highly upset.
An hour later.
The 1 hour mark here at BJDG Talk Wrestling. So I guess I should play something else too. Let's see. We'll go with this.
This is Angel Metro, and you are watching BJ and DG right now.
I think I lagged out of existence there for a moment, but I'm here. BJ's muted. And this is BJ and DG Talk Wrestling. But in the end, this is probably just an excuse to get a ladder match onto the show. Because we know WWE loves to have ladder matches on all their big shows. They should just do an actual show of nothing but ladder matches once a year.
Pretty sure TNA did that.
Yeah, they why can I not think of the name of the show?
I know they did Lockdown, which was all cage matches.
Which they're bringing back.
Which, who doesn't love a ladder match? I get why you can't do it every show on a card because people are going to get hurt. Ladder matches can be some of the most brutal matches. But yeah, either TNA definitely did that, had a pay-per-view where it was all ladder matches, or I did that in WWE 2K Dynasty mode or whatever it's called. Yeah, can't remember which, but would love to see it. It just wouldn't make sense for a modern wrestling show to do that. And also, how many things are there that you can hang? There's of course belts, but I guess, contracts or whatever. But yeah, that would get kind of old. And DG is disappeared. So where were we? We will talk Dynamite at some point tonight. We will talk some AEW because there's something that we didn't get to from last week that was very important that we just haven't been on to really talk about, and it's something that we need to mention. But I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know if now is the time to be getting into that. DG seems to have disappeared. But yeah, very pleased with main event last night. Honestly, WWE has gotten a lot easier to watch lately. I don't know if maybe I'm just kind of more used to it, but I've been enjoying Raws lately. I haven't seen SmackDown lately, but you know. Oh, hey, what is up, Pete? Good to hear from you, man. Hope you're well.
Bow chicka wow wow.
Oh, what?
Who whata?
What was that for?
I don't know. I just sat back down, wanted to say something random, so bow
Oh,
chicka
okay.
wow wow.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I was just saying, we got to talk a little Dynamite because there's something that we didn't touch on that is very important.
Ah, yes. Yes. Before we get there, just real quick, SmackDown this week. Uh War Raiders versus Fraxium. Very good tag team match. I just have it fresh in my head because I just watched it a little bit before getting ready to go live. Just wanted to put that out there. Pete in the chat, hope you're doing good, brother. I know you've been going through it recently. Hope to see you back here at the Academy at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
But yeah, SmackDown was a very solid show this week. I'm looking forward to really to next week's SmackDown at this point, just because of all this and Gunther and where that all that could go.
Right. What do we have? About 2 more
But
weeks to build?
yes, yeah. So hopefully this time in 2 weeks we'll be getting ready to do a live stream or be in the process of calling our first match of the night. Or worse, we'll be watching ads and complaining about it. Either way, it's going to be a good time. Make sure you tune in. But yeah, man. It, let's talk some AEW at this
Okay.
point. So I know I heard you saying about because we weren't live last week.
Right.
There was something we didn't get a chance to talk about, and that is congratulations to the new AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega.
And if anyone didn't catch that match between him and MJF, it's definitely worth going back and giving it a watch.
Especially against an injured MJF at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That match was
Uh,
really good. A really solid match.
Absolutely. And that sets up Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega at Wimbledon.
At All In.
Yeah, in Wimbledon, right?
Wembley, yes.
At All In.
Now, I didn't get to watch Dynamite yet this week. I do plan on watching it after we get done this. But they did like the New Day type segment after Kofi won the title from Daniel Bryan. And they gave Ken and the Young Bucks gave Kenny Omega the actual AEW championship and not and kind of put MJF's custom one back to the side.
Right. Yeah, that's
Also, another match this week that was really good. I got to see a couple clips of was Jack Perry and Nick Wayne. I think that was on Collision. So I think they did Collision earlier this week because of Saturday night's main event.
oh right.
Which, by the way, somebody bringing up running up against AEW, I give them credit where credit is due that they changed their shows and times and have that flexibility to be able to do it so that people can still see their product. Because let's be honest, there is the rip of some people only watch one and not the other. But then there's fans like, specifically, I'll say myself, to where I try to watch as much wrestling as humanly possible, and not just because I'm in the business in some way, shape, or form, but because I love it that much and I want to take in as much wrestling as I can. And it is a real pain when it's an AEW pay per view. You kind of have to watch it live.
Yeah.
Just because of how long their shows typically are.
Yeah, which is why
But we
I
also
never
know
quit, because
that
I'm always ready for bed by the third match.
we also do know that Kenny Omega has a title defense, I think, coming up at Redemption. Which I'm trying to find now.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I could be wrong, and they just haven't booked it yet, and it was just rumors.
Let's see, we got, yeah, there it is. Defending against Kevin Knight.
That's going to be a good match.
It's going to be a really good match. Kevin Knight has really stepped it up lately, and yeah, this is going to be sick. A really
Uh,
good card shaping up for Redemption also.
what we got on the card?
So we got Thekla versus Willow for the women's
All right,
champion.
I knew that match too.
Mark Davis versus Andrade for the AEW National Championship. I had mentioned the Kevin Kevin Omega, Kenny Knight. Kenny Omega, Kevin Knight match. Uh,
Kenny Knight.
Jericho Champa. Jericho Champa, no holds barred.
Mm, I heard
Fletcher
about that one
defending
too.
Fletcher defending the International against Bandito. That's gonna be sick. Cope and Cage defending against the Death Riders, consisting of Claudio and Pac. And then Moxley and Ospreay against the Young Bucks. And Hikaru Shida against Maya World for the TBS Championship.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
This is a really good card.
Yeah.
Next Saturday? Yeah.
Is that next Saturday?
I think it's Sunday, actually. Sunday, yeah.
Well, hopefully I'll be home in time because this Sunday coming up, the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know where I'll be? I'll
That's
be
gonna
here
be
at
really
the
good.
Pro Wrestling Star Academy, which I just saw this printed out, and it actually looked really good blown up and printed out.
Looking forward
So
to this
credit to
show.
that guy who did those graphics.
You know who
That
did.
guy deserves a pay raise. That's all I'm saying. So
Yes,
there will
sideshow's gonna be
there will
insane.
probably be no show next Sunday.
Yeah, unless we do it Saturday night.
Maybe we will start doing that. We'll see about fitting that into the schedule somehow. Because I wouldn't mind expanding some of our stuff here.
We can discuss that.
But yeah, AEW's been having a really good product lately. Understand. I don't understand why people hate on it, and it makes me think about if during the Monday Night Wars, what the internet would have looked like with the war between WCW and the WWF. Because oh god, that would have
You
been
know, wrestling,
glorious.
wrestling fans can be so tribal and defend their tastes. And honestly, like it's all good. I mean, if it isn't, it isn't. But like, none of this is trash. None of this stuff out there. There's a reason why it's on television. There's a reason. You know what I mean? People out there,
You know,
you may hate it. There's someone out there who's gonna love it. You know what I mean? It's all
these
wrestling.
are a lot of these fans are also the same fans 20 years ago that were saying that TNA is going out of business. TNA is not going to last. 24 years later, 25 years later, whatever it is, TNA is still going because people
Yes.
still pay to go and see the product because it's pro wrestling.
Again, saying TNA is gonna go under soon is like saying the Judgment Day is gonna break up tomorrow. It may look like it, but it ain't never gonna happen.
And right now TNA is going through a transition period. You got a lot of contracts sitting to where now people actually have opportunities from there to move on to other places
Yeah,
to where
a lot of
you had to be a really big name like AJ Styles or Samoa Joe, but or Bobby Roode to really get to that point to be able to make that jump or R-Truth because
and now
I
some of
have to
their
have R-Truth has to be in that conversation
oh yeah,
because he was the first African American NWA champion, let alone that he is a former world champion in one
and
of the major promotions.
and with all the big names that have left lately, you were talking Eric Young, we're talking Mance Warner,
Mike
uh,
Santana.
Santana, Sammy Callahan, like. Now it's time to see that younger generation step up. And if there's one thing that TNA has always done very, very well, is they've always made young superstars look like $1 million. You know, AJ
Yeah,
Styles, you got so many people, the list escapes me. So many people came from TNA, and just because they built their name there, it gave them a foot in the door other places, and they became superstars.
I just think part of TNA problem right now also is the transition of creative
Right.
as well. Um, but that's an ongoing situation. We'll see how it goes. I think that at this point, WWE was smart and they are interested in TNA and more than just this partnership because apparently in the contract they do have the option to make an offer
Right.
to have like like I said, if I was WWE, I would do the exact same thing like with AAA. Allow them to have their own thing. Allow
Yeah.
them just to be under the umbrella, but still be their own entity within
Yeah.
that.
Send
Because
talent
there
over
are,
once in a while, but keep it, under their own management.
and that's another thing I think they've done really well. After the initial surge of crossover, is we see talent that can get more ring time where there's not room on NXT for them.
Right.
Going to TNA to get that ring time because that's very important, especially in a young wrestler's career to get ring time, especially in front of big crowds.
Yeah.
We see it in the indies all the time. That development, especially when you start seeing it happen weekly, like here at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy, which is something that is an advantage over most indie promotions and smaller promotions like this, is that we do weekly shows here, broadcast on YouTube, consistently weekly, working in front of a live crowd. It's not just a monthly show or a quarterly show or something like that. I would be all for Jordan Grace under the WWE umbrella going back to TNA because they're doing absolutely nothing with her right now. And Dia Hale's going to be a star. Mark those words. Even if it's not in the WWE, she's going to be a star. She's so young right now and just room to grow. There is no ceiling for her at the moment, in my opinion. I would say the same thing about Tatum Paxley as well. I think she's going to be a star.
Oh yeah.
But with the tribalism of all this, like we were talking about, with everybody's like, no, you should watch this company because of this, or you should watch this company because of that. Well, let's just remember WWE/WWF, even back in the day, was always an entertainment company first. This this whole cookie cutter way they do the shows now, it's just way more predictable than it was back in the day. And a lot of that is star power, And I'm not saying that, as an example, WWE doesn't have superstars right now. But who would be white fire hot right now? I only have one name, Obafemi.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everybody's routine. Roman Reigns, crowd goes nuts for him, so you can't say he's not over with the reactions he gets. Seth Rollins gets those same reactions. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. So I'm not saying there's not star power there, but it's not the same star power that it was when we had Austin Rock feuding on and off for 6, 7, 8 years, or Rock Triple H Austin, whatever combination of these top stars. You could plug any of those top stars into any pay-per-view across the board, and you would sell out that show.
Yeah, and I mean, for a time there, you could even throw in Taker or Kane or Foley.
That's what I'm saying. And I was just shortlisting names.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that was just a short list because you could take those names and put them in other matches, and you're just like, this was actually could have been the main event of a show. Like just remember, like going back, if you go back even on Netflix now, watch some of the Attitude Era stuff. And don't think of the comparison of the way the shows are written. Think of how the segments are. How did Raw typically open on a Monday night from 1997 to 1999? We opened up with a promo segment to establish the show, unless there was something really big going on. And we've seen it occasionally where a match not recently, but I want to say in the last year, where something happened at the beginning of the show where we went right into some type of match or brawling segment to where it wasn't just talking. And that's not counting NXT, because NXT goes back and forth with what's needed for the show week to week, to where Raw and SmackDown is very much 15-minute opening segment, interview, promo, first match of the night, and we're already a half hour into the show with a commercial.
Oh, you forgot after the opening promo segment, 2 backstage segments.
That's why I said a backstage interview, and then a backstage promo, and then the opening match. And we're a half hour in already. That was something that me and BJ were talking about, because I had the passing comment that Roman Seth today, with how long that feud's gone, is essentially this generation's like Austin Rock. But it just doesn't have the. Maybe it's for us because we're older. We're not saying we're not invested into it, but we see it in a different light. You know, it takes something big, like somebody like Obafemi that I'm seeing, and I'm just seeing somebody develop at such a quick level that I'm just like, how do I not get behind this person? You know, or somebody like an MJF. Like MJF was on the Indies, and as soon as he got on TV, which thank you Cody Rhodes for MJF and getting him into AEW and on that original All In card or All Out card, that we've seen him develop, and MJF's absolutely amazing on the mic. He's amazing in the ring. And the way they do it is good. To where that's something else I'll make in a comparison. AEW has white hot stars right now. WWE really doesn't outside of Obafemi. And that's a problem on their end. You know, because everybody knows if I'm going to name the top star in AEW, it's Will Ospreay. I don't see those crowds react for anybody else the way they do Will Ospreay. Maybe Swerve. Maybe Swerve would be the other person, because there's a lot of respect for Swerve and what us as fans have watched him go through the last decade. Between WWF and everything. Or WWE.
Hangman for a while there was like white hot. And over like that. Hey, what's up, Wyatt?
Hey, Wyatt Wrestling. Hey, everybody, make sure you go check out Wyatt Wrestling Club. If you're able to in the chat, click on his name and go subscribe right now. He does a lot of fun wrestling stuff, and I think you would enjoy it. He does his own little mini wrestling events type things with 2K and his subscribers and stuff as well. Those are always fun to be a part of. You know, he does live watch-alongs as well. Might have to do a crossover at some point for a watch-along. Broadcast on both channels simultaneously. But yeah, everybody, please go check him out. I'm pretty sure he's on the cusp of 1,000 subscribers right now. Very big deal. Keep up the good work, buddy. Glad to see you. But in the end, this whole tribalism thing, it's gotten old to me. Like, it was old to me when I was young with the whole WCW, WWF things. I'm just like, for me, it wasn't about who was better. It was the dream matches that I always wanted to see in that crossover, you know? Like, if that would have ever happened. And we were so close to what the invasion angle was originally supposed to be.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball with that.
You know, because originally WCW was going to be given Monday Night Raw and turn it into Nitro, and SmackDown was going to become the WWE show at that point.
Right.
Which would have...
Until that Buff Bagwell match opened the show on Raw, and Vince is like, you know what? Nope.
Yeah. I mean, the other issues, I don't mind talking about this real quick. Some of the other issues of that was WCW didn't have their major star power. Like, if you look,
it was.
They didn't have Hogan, Hall,
right,
Nash. They didn't have.
And they were being paid to do nothing for the next two
They didn't
years, I
have
think it was.
yeah, they didn't have Sting. They didn't have Ric Flair until after the Angle. Um,
Yeah, but they had like
and
Sean Stasiak and
don't get it wrong, they had young stars, and then you still had Booker T.
right.
You still had like some of these stars that could have been stars. You know, you
And they
had
had
DDP.
ECW.
Yeah, ECW was really what became the backbone of
Yeah,
the alliance that helped them kind of get that push. Because then you had Rhino, you had RVD,
Taz.
you had some of these bigger names. Taz was still wrestling. I think Taz had started doing commentary at that point.
Not yet, but
2001.
yeah, I think it was like he did still wrestle for the Invasion angle. It was shortly after that he switched over. He did
I think that
wrestle.
might have been the end somewhere in that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he was part of the Survivor Series match at that point.
No, he wasn't part of that match, but he definitely was. Like when ECW was revealed as working with WCW, I know he was involved in that match or a match like surrounding that. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Yeah, agreed, Archives. Now, the biggest drop ball
Oh,
was the ECW revival.
yeah, but that wasn't necessarily WWE's fault at the time when it went started going south. You
Right.
can there's other outside factors that can get blamed for that. RVD and Sabu, if I
Right.
remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, right after One
Uh
Night Stand 06.
no, it was actually a little bit after that. Because
Well,
that
yeah, not
angle
right
ran,
after.
it was closer to WrestleMania. We
Yeah.
were near the end of that year. Because then we get Bobby Lashley as champion, I believe, in that run. And then we get that ECW December pay per view, which is considered by many the worst pay per view of all time, which had my
Yeah, it was
favorite incarnation of the Elimination Chamber because you had that extreme Elimination Chamber with all the weapons tied in the ring and stuff, which I think they should do that regularly. I'd love to see weapons added or that stipulation added to an Elimination Chamber match. But it can't be on the Elimination Chamber pay per view. You have to have an excuse to hold that match away from that pay per view because we know both those matches for the in between show going into WrestleMania is typically a number one contenders match. But I wouldn't say the invasion angle because the invasion angle gave us some great moments. It was just
yeah,
the ECW WCW side lacked the star power.
yeah. That's why they had to throw Steve Austin, on the other side.
Yeah, and then Kurt Angle, him and Kurt changed sides.
Yeah.
And then eventually Austin comes back to the other side, and we get those great moments in the back with Angle and Austin, which are some of my favorite non-typical Stone Cold promos. Like when he makes Kurt wear the little hat and he's playing the guitar. What do you think of my song there, Kurt? But yeah, like it had moments. It was just the overall angle after you get through the surprise of everything was just, oh hey, we're just going to swap titles back and forth until we get to a point where we don't need to anymore. And then we unify all the titles afterwards. I would
If only
love
they,
to see. Go ahead.
if only they could have like kept that angle going long enough for some of the guys with Time Warner contracts to actually sign. So we could get like maybe a Flair or a Hogan.
Well, that the thing with that was when they bought WCW, they bought out all the contracts with them. WWE had them under contract with buying WCW. They weren't just like when
Yeah.
Time Warner sold everything, they sold everything with it,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. And they just
yeah, because they
like
were being
Sting,
paid.
Sting, we knew was never going at that time was never going to
Right,
appear in the WWF. We knew
right, yeah,
that. Just because of what
yeah.
the product was then. Sting didn't want to be a part of that, which is why when that contract actually ran out, he went to TNA and hey, he helped build a great company over there. What I did personally, which was one of the bigger disappointments, was that I think it's 2002 when we see Eric Bischoff, or 2003 when we see Eric Bischoff come in
I
as
think it was
GM.
2003. Yeah.
I wish we would have had Bischoff as part of the invasion angle because it would have
Yeah,
made for
makes
some
sense.
great TV moments, especially coming off of the end of WCW of what we knew it as. And let's be honest, in the WCW wasn't the greatest thing. Their main event segments were awful. The cruiserweights completely carried that company for a good 7 years.
Yeah.
Well, no,
And the
5
the bigger
years.
stars, the bigger established stars were just stale at that point, and nobody cared.
And then you had the likes of people who would have been stars in that company, like a William Regal, would have gone up the ladder if it wasn't for the Nashes and the Hogans just holding
Well, if it wasn't
everybody
for
down.
Flair.
Well, and then we get the whole Vince Russo coming in and completely stripping all the championships, And I remember that at that time because Vince Russo was like, "I'm going in there. I'm not going to appear on TV," and the first thing he did was appear on TV and made it about him. And that's one of the things, that's where it really started to hurt a little bit to watch it because Booker T just won the world championship and then or Chris Benoit, I'm sorry, just won the world championship, had it ripped away from him. And then that takes us to Bash at the Beach 2000, where the whole Hogan and Jarrett thing happens because Russo didn't want Hogan with the belt, but Hogan had creative control in his contract. So he just went out there and laid down for Jarrett to win the title, which led to Booker T later on in the night winning the title after Hogan walked out. And we had a complete shoot in the middle of a pay-per-view.
Not the first time, not the last.
I mean, I'm all for shoot stuff in wrestling, but that there was just it showed the dark side of the business.
Yeah.
Like, I, let me make this clear: I am not the biggest Jarrett or Hogan fan, but in this situation, Jarrett was done dirty. To have to deal with that and be in the middle of that, essentially, just for him to have the title pulled right back off of him.
Right.
But then not long after that, Jarrett, and that's another name to where instead of him going to be part of the invasion angle, he went and started a whole new another company with his father.
Right. Yeah.
Like I take nothing away from the Jarretts. I'm just not a fan of the Jarrett character.
Same. Yeah. Never been a fan of the
Because if
character, but I love what he's done for the business.
yeah, just like I'll never be a fan of Hogan in ring or out of ring, but I respect what he did for the business to get it to where it's at today. But pro wrestling is also a business that peaks, goes down, peaks, goes down, because it goes by interest of storylines going. Like when most people watch wrestling from January to April. And then maybe as we're getting around to SummerSlam, they'll build interest for a couple weeks, get to SummerSlam, not watch again. Oh, cool, War Games. They'll just watch, or they'll just watch the pay-per-views. It's just one of those things at that point. And I mean, another thing the invasion angle didn't have, which, depending on who you ask, would be happy or sad about it. But at that time, and we're talking 2001, would have been a big deal. Would have been Goldberg being involved with that angle and not coming back in 2003.
Right. Also, honestly, what really like hurt the most for me was that like instead of a Bischoff and Heyman, we get Shane and Stephanie.
So, I'll address the Shane real quick first. I don't mind that because when we see the simulcast for the last Nitro and Raw simultaneously, I love the angle because right then and there they knew what they were doing. We knew
Yeah,
we were
but
going to get something at one point. And the initial idea was always WCW to eventually branch out and still have it show because they can still capitalize on the name. Because it still had name power at the time. All
what
right,
I'm saying
so
is going forward, like, you
hold
know,
on. I'm okay with that. Now, when we bring Stephanie into the mix as owner of ECW, that was just a way, it was Vince's way of saying, Paul's not in charge of this truly. It's a McMahon in charge of it. Just like if we fast forward WrestleMania 32, is it? Sting Triple H, 33? Where you have Sting versus Triple H, you have the black and white NWO come out and help Sting, which makes zero sense if you know wrestling history and know that Sting would have never helped the black and white NWO, and they would have never helped him. The Wolfpack would have been a different story. If you had Hall Nash, Luger, Conan,
well, he couldn't
some
just have them come out in
combination of those guys.
WCW shirts, could he? You know,
And then you have DX come out, which that was why they did it, because you wanted DX and NWO on screen at the same exact time, just to acknowledge both histories. But I'll always say Sting should have gone over in that match, but the final nail in the coffin was Sting going down, because he was the last real person from WCW still that mattered. Anyway, because unfortunately we do get Goldberg up until the end of last year or the year
yeah,
before.
come on,
So
Flair.
yeah, Flair's not wrestling anymore. Thank God. That man's going to
You
have
never
a heart
know.
attack in the ring.
You never know.
But anyway, would I have preferred Heyman to be the one in charge of the alliance? Yes, or at least the ECW part. But the way they always made it seem was it was even power between Stephanie and Paul. So that's why I'm not so much against it. And anytime, let's be honest, that it was McMahon's versus a McMahon, just that alone usually made for good TV on WWF, because it was just, they figured out ways to make it interesting. But there's other things we could have seen happen along the way. And that would have been the addition of Eric Bischoff. Because I think if you get Bischoff involved, you possibly get Hogan involved, or you get Hall and Nash involved.
Well,
Because
all of those guys were ultimately going to sit out the length of the contract because they were getting paid to do nothing, you know?
But I think you have a better chance if you have Eric, like, hey, Eric, look, we're bringing you in. Can you talk to these guys and see, with us bringing you in, can you get them interested? Because it'll be you, Heyman, and this person. Because even then, we know the mind that Paul Heyman had for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And if he had booked this angle, and in all honesty, you get all the right players in this, you pull the ultimate swerve and let the Alliance win and get control.
Right.
That would, to where now you kind of extend it into a WrestleMania, where now this is for everything. And then you address the fallout after that, where WCW will get their own show. And in all honesty, WCW should have would have the Thursday or Friday night show and just let them keep the Nitro name.
Yeah.
I mean, but if it's Vince, he's going to make it Thunder because Thunder was the drizzling shits anyway. But a lot of that was just Vince with his ego not wanting any of that because look at what they ruined DDP.
Yeah, Vince
They
is kind of like, if I didn't create it, then it's not going to get over in my company. He kind of had that attitude about it.
basically. I mean, we saw the evolution of Vince as we went on was, I'm not acknowledging anything else on the outside, and it got worse over time. Because when
Yeah.
you have a guy that comes in that was a world champion in a major promotion, you don't ever have to name the promotion. But say this man's a former world champion in Japan. He's held world championships all over the world. Say something,
It does more to
you
put them
know?
over.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But even at the same time, Vince knew how to do business, and it would have been good business. Now, as it comes, as BJ said, what in his eyes, one of the ultimate ball drops was the return of the original ECW after not One Night Stand 2006. That's just a completely different story. And I've seen interviews about it. So much happened that screwed that up. And even then, I don't think that their version was so bad because it helped The Miz really develop into what he became today. We got John Morrison from that. We got CM Punk from that. And they were going to release CM Punk. Heyman fought for Punk to get that spot on ECW. Like, it did a lot of good and a lot of bad simultaneously. But a lot of that was also because at one point in all that, Heyman leaves.
I remember watching the first episode after I had been hyped up for weeks, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I didn't even get through it, and I was like, "Well, that's not ECW. I'm never watching that again."
I mean, going into it after One Night Stand 2006, I never thought once this was going to be what we knew as ECW. It was going to
Right.
be a toned down version of it, which is fine. I don't mind that because then you can save the big stuff for pay per views. Like, oh yeah, we do all the most of our hardcore stuff there. But WWE also at the time was like, yeah, we try not to be busted open unless it calls for it. Like pro wrestling was in a change. ECW in the end was never going to work out the same. And just what that helped birth though is the NXT we got today, I feel like.
Yeah,
Because we saw
ultimately, after
easy
many different iterations, it, became it,
because like I said, ECW became that not just a third brand for a while, but also developmental. Like
yeah,
we saw Bobby Lashley go there and dominate. Big Show got a resurgence there with the ECW championship. The Miz got to develop. And then we got Miz and Morrison as a tag team, which as ECW stars held both tag team championships from Raw and SmackDown. Like there are good things that came out of it. It's just when you look overall, after RVD was forced to drop the WWE title, subsequently had to drop the ECW title. And then another speed bump in that was the whole Chris Benoit thing.
yeah.
Kurt Angle was a part of that brand and then left and went to TNA. Like, if you have Kurt Angle on that brand and he never leaves, that brand becomes legit, even if eventually is rebranded.
Well, they almost had Kurt Angle in the original ECW, but they had to go and crucify Sandman in front of him. Or was it Raven that was crucified? One or the other.
No, I think it was Sandman. And I think it was Raven that did it. So I think they were
Yeah.
both involved.
Yeah. I just couldn't remember which one it was that ended up crucified. But yeah, I mean, they play their cards right, they have Kurt Angle in the original ECW. Whole different ball game.
I don't think he's there long though. I think
Oh
WWE would
no, it
have
would have been a
scoops
stepping
him
stone.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, could you
And
imagine
that
like him and Rhino?
and see, I can't picture Kurt's style of him being there. And because there's very few guys that would have been able to work with him. Taz would have been able to
Yeah.
work him. RVD probably would have been able to at the time. I don't see a him and Sandman match coming off
No.
well. I don't see
No.
him and a Sabu match coming off well.
Right.
I can see Angle and Shane Douglas being good. Angle, Justin
yeah.
Credible probably being good.
Candido.
Angle Dreamer, maybe.
Yeah. I'm sure that's happened at some point.
No, I don't think those two ever had a match.
Huh.
Maybe a tag match, but I don't think they ever had a one-on-one.
I'll have to look into that. But not right now. There would have been there would have been plenty for him there.
No, I just don't believe. I just believe it would have been a very quick run.
Yeah, like a 6 month kind of thing.
I don't even think he would have made it that long, and he would have walked.
Because like ECW, I mean, you know, they did have when they had the Rascals, not Rascals, Radicals. You know, they it wasn't all hardcore. You know what I mean? There was actually legit wrestling on the shows as well as like lucha. You know, so I think they would have.
Like I said, I don't think that there's a problem with him being there. I just feel like it would have been a very short run, and then Kurt Angle might not have developed the way he would have, because, like I said, the chemistry and that whole hardcore style that they did there just would not have. Go ahead.
We're overlooking the obvious match though. 1997, Kurt Angle, Taz.
They did have a match in WWE.
I'm saying ECW.
Taz was already in the WWE because at that point, yeah.
Yeah. Like a baby, you know, Kurt Angle. And he froze up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I forgot I was on my hotspot, so I didn't pick up my phone. But yeah, we're getting close to the 2 hour mark here. Fun show today.
Yeah.
I like how we talk stuff and with
You were breaking up for that. It's like every 10 or 15 seconds we get like a 2 second clip and then it just freezes. So he's as you can see, he's at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy there. Yeah, he that was the issue that was happening before the show, so I'm really surprised that he had that good of a streak going. I was just saying that was the same problem you were having before the show, so I'm glad like the internet let you at least do the show before it started messing with you. Yeah, I think he's frozen again. Yeah. All right. Well, we covered everything we want to cover. We talked about the invasion angle for a little bit, which I'm always all about. Oh, and now you're back.
Yeah.
Nice and
So
smooth. All right.
now,
Oh,
the Pro Wrestling Star Academy.
he broke in.
Should I just go mobile at this point? Jeez.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't sure if you were going to make it back, so I was starting to wrap it up anyway. I don't know what's happening.
Whoever knows what's happening here.
Apparently you do.
Oh, yeah. By the way, just real quick, because they left it here. Hey, everybody, don't.
Nice.
Ooh.
There we
Steve.
go. All right.
But yeah, I guess it is that time. You old ginger.
I have nightmares about that.
As you should, sir. As you should. But yeah, everybody, thank you for joining us today. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of fun getting to do a show from here at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy. Would have been sitting up there had it been training going on. That's our commentary booth there.
We're one of the best pictures of all time mistaken. Why can't I find it? Oh, there it is.
You mean always, always. But yes, everybody, thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in seeing this beautiful facility we have here, come every Friday. $15 shows, weekly shows, or watch live on YouTube at SPO Wrestling.
Don't forget this weekend, Sunday, next Sunday, we will not be live. We might do something Saturday night, but we will be at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy for Sideshow Wrestling. And that show, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is only $5.
Yeah, 2 o'clock start time, 1:30 the doors open. We'll run down that full card this Tuesday on Indie Spotlight. And also, don't forget to tune in tomorrow night for our Monday Night Raw after show.
Should be an interesting one after Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, should be, but we'll see. But at this point, I think it is time for us to go. A lot of fun conversation in the back hour today. I think we should do on one of the slower weeks or something, or maybe a special Saturday thing where we just sit here and shoot the shit.
Well, what we should do is we should ask our viewers to just send in questions so that we can, you know,
Well, that's something for us to talk about. Hey, all you guys watching, whether you're watching Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, would you be interested in tuning in on a special night for a Q&A with us? You can ask us anything you want about anything wrestling wise, whatever. And we'll come on for a couple hours, just sit here, and very much a relaxed show.
Also, we've talked about this before. The thought of inviting other creators to be on with us is a possibility as well.
Yeah, so time will only tell what we are doing. Hey, maybe we should find somebody to interview us on our own channel. And give the
Yeah.
true interview that all the people don't want. We got to give the people the things they don't even know they want yet. All right.
Until after they've gotten them and thrown them away.
Bingo. But everybody, be good to each other. Be good to all the random people out there, too. For BJ over here, I am the Danger Ginger. And we will see you next time for more BJ and DG Talk Wrestling. Now let's get the hell out of here.